Setting up VMs in Proxmox can feel a bit repetitive. You go through the same steps again and again, and even if you use templates, there's still stuff you have to change manually. It works, but it's not ideal. Now imagine if every VM could be ready to go the moment it starts, with the right hostname, users, SSH keys, and network settings already in place. That's where Cloud-init comes in. It takes care of all that automatically. And here's the best part. Once Cloud-init is in place, it opens the door to even more powerful tools. You can plug it into Ansible, manage your VMs with Terraform, or even run everything through a CI/CD pipeline. In this video, I'll show you how to get started with Cloud-init and Proxmox. So let's begin the setup. First, I will navigate to Proxmox and create a virtual machine by clicking on Create VM at the top right corner. I'm going to use this VM as a template, so I'm allocating minimal resources for now. If needed, we can increase them later for specific VMs. In the General tab, set the VM ID and VM name. Then click on Next. In the OS tab, select Do Not Use Any Media, and proceed to the next step. Under the System tab, set the machine type to Q35, change the BIOS to UEFI, and set UEFI storage to local. Make sure to enable the QEMU agent, then click on Next. Now, in the Disk tab, remove the default disk from the left side panel, as we'll be attaching a separate disk manually. Moving on to the CPU tab, no changes are needed here, so let's click on Next. In the Memory tab, I will reduce the memory allocation to 1 GB, then Continue. For the Network tab, leave everything as it is and proceed. Finally, in the Review section, make sure that Start After Created checkbox is disabled. Then click on the Finish button. Once the VM is created, we will go to the Hardware section and remove the CD or DVD drive as we don't need it. I will also add a Cloud-init drive by clicking on Add, then select Cloud-init drive. Here, we need to set storage to local and add it. For now, let's keep it like this, as we will configure Cloud-init later. But at this moment, there's no disk available to boot from. So we need to download a cloud image. Now, a cloud image is a pre-made virtual machine disk that is ready to use and designed to be automatically set up using Cloud-init when it starts. Let's use an Ubuntu cloud image. For that, I will head over to Google and search for Ubuntu Cloud Images. Let's open the official Ubuntu website. Here, these are all the versions which are available. I will prefer to use the latest LTS version. So let's click on Ubuntu Server 24.04. On this page, open the current directory. Here, we have lists for all the different types of disk formats. For Proxmox, we need an image, which the description contains QCOW2, UEFI, or GPT bootable disk image. Also, make sure the image name contains AMD64. To download it, just right-click on that and copy link address. Now let's head back to Proxmox and select the node. Open the shell and type wget. Then right-click and paste the copied link and press Enter. Wait for the download to complete. Then type ls to verify if the image is downloaded. For Proxmox, we need QCOW2 format for disk image, but this file has .img format. We can simply rename this file and modify the extension to .qcow2. Now if you type ls, you can see the new file name. But we are not done yet. We have to set the disk size. So let's type QEMU-img, resize followed by the file name, then the disk size you need. I will set it to 32 GB and press Enter to apply the changes. You can find all the mentioned commands in the description box below. Next, we need to attach the disk to the VM. So I will run the command qm import disk followed by the VM ID, then the file name, and mention where you want to store it. In my case, it will be local. Then press Enter. This will attach the disk to the VM. Next, we need to add a serial port to the VM to access its terminal. To do that, execute this command. Before executing, be sure to replace the VM ID as per your setup. Then press Enter. If we're using DHCP for assigning the IP, we need access to the VM's terminal to get the IP address before we can SSH into it. Also, it will help us to debug any issue. Once that's done, select the VM, and navigate to Hardware. Here, you'll find a disk, which is attached to this VM, but it is showing as unused disk. Select this disk and click on Edit. Now, if you're using SSD, then enable Discard and SSD emulation. Once done, click on Add. With that, the hard disk has been successfully added. Now let's navigate to Options and edit the boot order. Here, I will disable the network and enable the disk. Then click on OK. This will allow the VM to boot from the disk instead of the network. Now select the VM, right-click on it, and convert it to a template. Once the template is ready, we can configure Cloud-init. So let's navigate to the Cloud-init tab. Now, Cloud-init is a tool that automatically sets up a new virtual machine with configurations like hostname, username, or networking. And the best part is Proxmox lets you configure these Cloud-init settings right from the UI. So let's start with username. Just select it, then click on Edit and enter the preferred username. Once done, click on OK. Let me do the same for the password. I will also update the IP configuration. Normally, we assign a static IP to each VM so that we can easily connect to it via SSH. However, since I'll be using this VM as a template, I'm setting it to DHCP for now. But if you ever need to switch to a static IP later, you can follow this format. Now, if you want to automate the setup with Ansible, you will need passwordless login. And Cloud-init allows us to do it right here. So I will add my SSH key. You can even add multiple keys if needed. Now let's create a new virtual machine from this template. For that, select the template, right-click on it, and click on Clone. Set a VM ID, give it a name, and click on Clone. Once the VM is created, select it, and go to Console. Now let's start the VM by clicking on Start Now. And the VM will directly start without any OS installation process. Even if the VM starts, wait for some time for Cloud-init to apply its configuration. One of the key benefits of using Cloud-init is that it updates the VM every time we start it, ensuring you always have the latest configurations applied. Once the SSH key is displayed, it means Cloud-init configuration is complete, and we can log in using the username and password that we set earlier. To check the IP address, we will execute the command IP_say. Now let's try to access the VM through SSH. Since the SSH key was already added, we can connect without entering a password. As you can see, we are successfully connected to this VM through SSH. Now we can use it just like a regular machine, and there's nothing specific we need to do, but I like to make a few adjustments with my VMs. So I will install QEMU Guest Agent, as it helps the system detect VM's IP address and other details. Once the installation is complete, I will restart the VM. After the reboot, we can find the VM's IP address in the Summary tab. Now we can clone this Ubuntu machine whenever we need a new VM. And that's all for this video. If you have any question or suggestion regarding this video, let us know in the comments. So make sure to stick around. If you like this video, you might also like the next one.